I read the manuscript under a hunter's moon, and when the ink began to bleed red, I heard the howling outside my door. For the first time in 900 years, the prophecy was awakening. Nightbound Bloodline presents 8 ancient manuscripts that predicted the return of the Lycan Kings. What you are about to hear are not just stories. These are transcripts, accounts, and forbidden texts written by monks, travelers, and scholars who all described, centuries apart, the same impossible thing: the rise of the Lycan Kings. Tonight, we bring their words to shadow and breath. Whether myth or memory, these manuscripts tell of a world preparing to awaken beneath the blood moon again. Manuscript I, the Vasilis Codex, Greece, 976 AD. My name's Elijah. I'm 35, a field historian for the University of Thessaloniki. I never believed in prophecies, especially not the kind scratched into parchment older than Christianity itself. But then, in the summer of 2023, I found something in a damp monastery vault that changed the way I looked at the night sky. The parchment was brittle, edges singed, as if rescued from fire. The writing, half Greek, half something older, a Lupin dialect no living scholar could place. The codex mentioned an omen. When the red moon touches the bones of Mount Othrys, the sleeping kings shall wake beneath the scent of iron and ash. At first, I thought it was poetic fluff. But then came the scent, the same faint, metallic odor that clung to the vault air though nothing metal rusted there. That night, I stayed late cataloging. The candles flickered as if pushed by breath. I heard padding steps echo from the hall, slow, heavy, purposeful. I called out to the night janitor. No answer, only the soft scrape of nails along the stone floor. When the lights died, I saw it. A shape, crouched, watching me through the half-light of dying wick. Its eyes weren't simply reflecting the flame. They burned back. Not yellow, golden, molten alive. I remember thinking, absurdly, that the codex had opened a door, that it was never meant to be read aloud. I don't remember leaving the vault. The next memory was morning, sunlight through the cracked shutters, the parchment gone, and footprints, pawed but elongated, leading toward the hillside exit of the old monastery. Since that night, the same metallic scent haunts me whenever the moon bleeds red. I don't catalog relics anymore. I catalog warnings. Manuscript 2, the Black Parchment of Carpathia, 1444. I go by Mihaela, and before the Black Parchment, I was just a country librarian. I grew up in the shadow of the Carpathians, where wolf legends fill the winter tales, and every elder has a tooth-mark story. It's nonsense, I thought. Wolves are animals. Stories are nightmares from the old world. Then one autumn, after the village's oldest sycamore collapsed, we found a sealed box tangled in the roots. Inside, parchment so dark it seemed inked in shadow itself. When I brushed away the dirt, words rose like fresh wounds. In the moon's crimson rain, the kings beneath the fir shall step through the veil and walk among the lambs. I laughed, called it peasant poetry. But the night before I archived it, the sheep wouldn't calm and grew restless as the full blood moon clawed over the peaks. No wind, not a whisper, just tension so thick you could taste it. Around midnight, I heard scratching beneath my window. I thought it was stray dogs. I glanced outside. What stood there wasn't canine. It was tall, impossibly narrow at the waist, shoulders coiled with muscle under matted gray fur. Its hands, not paws, gripped the sill, claws curled in the wood. Its eyes reflected nothing but me, like glass, cold and unending. It didn't snarl or run. It cocked its head as if listening, mimicking my breath. Then it spoke a single word, low, guttural: awaken. I was rooted, frozen in terror. The creature melted backward into the tree line, silent except for the steady thud of claws on wet leaves. The parchment vanished from the archive the next morning. My supervisor said I'd probably misplaced it. Since then, I don't walk alone on red moon nights. I'm no longer sure what story, and what's warning. Manuscript 3, The Sable Scrolls, Mongolian Steppe, 1602. My full name's Timur, 40, a cartographer by trade. You don't see much weirdness on a map, only what people write down. That changed when I was charting ancient burial mounds near Overkangai. The scrolls were wrapped in wolf hide, brittle to the touch but preserved by salt winds and time. The ancient script read, "Under the blood moon, the line shall ride again. 8 shadows long, kings with eyes of winter and jaws of thorn." That night, as I camped alone, drawing contour lines by lantern, the horses grew unsettled. Then, every sound in the steppe faded. No insects, not even the wind. My breath was a ragged cloud in the cold. I felt eyes behind me, nothing on the horizon. Then the air snapped and the scent hit, raw, thick, wild, old blood and storm. 8 shapes crested the hill, silhouetted black against the lunar red. They walked upright, heads low, shoulders hunched, as if bearing invisible crowns. There was something regal about them, ancient and wrong. I watched them pass, my hands trembling too much to sketch their features. They never approached, but each bore a mark, a torn scrap, a thong, a human relic in tangled fur. When they vanished, every animal in the valley erupted in panic, bolting from nothing I could see. Since that night, my maps always show the mounds twice, once for man, once for the kings. Manuscript 4, The Scarlet Annals of Rennes, France, 1789. My name's Luke, 29, former schoolteacher in Rennes. History was my job, skepticism my default. I'd always said legends are there to scare kids, not adults. But the Scarlet Annals proved me wrong. During renovations, we broke open a hollow wall behind the chapel. What we found was wrapped in faded red cloth, the ink still pungent after centuries. The text, "When revolution stirs and blood moon reigns, the kings shall return for the lost children of the old pact." I took it home, convinced it was just a secret society's warning. On the blood moon, I read the annals aloud for fun, alone, wine in hand. That night, the streets emptied early. Even the drunks gripped their coats tighter, looking up at the moon's bruised red eye. Near midnight, tapping at my door. At first, I thought it was my neighbor. Instead, I saw a shadow pressed flat to the glass, a huge figure with a wolfish muzzle, lips pulled in something almost like a smirk. The eyes were deep set, swirling bronze, fixed on me as if I was the only thing left in the world. It didn't break the door, didn't roar, just placed one claw on the wood, then drew a line down, tracing the grain. I never opened that door, not then, not ever again. I left Rennes the next morning, abandoning everything. The annals are gone now, and I avoid places with old walls or red cloth. You want my advice? Sometimes history survives in blood, not ink. Manuscript V, The Iron Script of Eildwen, England, 1802. Call me Caroline, 47, a botanist whose hands usually dig in soil, not crumbling books. My first reaction to the Iron Script was laughter. Old English lore is packed with bogmen, fae, and wolf kings. Found under a hawthorn's roots, wrought with rust, its words barely legible. Should the moon turn iron, kings in fur will break their binding, reclaiming the wild soil long denied. Nothing happened at first. Then, on the next blood moon, on my walk home through ancient woods, the air thickened to syrup. Every leaf, every stone felt loaded, alive. I heard something trailing me, twigs cracking in sync with my footsteps. My breath steamed in the cold, the tang of wet fur in the air. I turned, saw a silhouette, taller than any man, its fur shot with streaks like steel, eyes pale, mirroring frost. It didn't chase, it simply watched, shifting side to side, blocking paths. I turned to run, heart clawing at my ribs, legs numb with fear. When I reached home, I locked every door, but I could feel its gaze through the walls, like cold fingers squeezing my spine. I haven't walked those woods since. The Iron Script? Still buried where I found it. Probably best left unread. Manuscript 6. The Red Ledger of the Steppe Wells, India, 1857. They call me Arun, 32, formerly a civil engineer. I'd never taken legends seriously, only the physical, foundations, bricks, water levels. Until I uncovered the Red Ledger, I had no cause to question the world. The ledger was boxed in clay and goat hide at the bottom of an abandoned steppe well outside Junagadh. The script was Devanagari, but archaic, smeared in places with what looked like rust, or perhaps dried blood. It read, "When the moon is as crimson as spilled wine and the wells echo with silence, the kings will find their shapes again, clothed in the suffering of men and beasts alike." The summer heat lingered long after dark, but that night, it suddenly dropped, cold as a monsoon wind. The frogs vanished. Even the stray dogs didn't howl. I was inspecting the site by lantern when I heard padded steps, slow and deliberate, circling just beyond the lantern glow. A foul musk, half-rot, half-wet fur, filled my lungs as my flashlight trembled. An enormous figure stepped into view. Lupin, but not a wolf. Something else, something layered with old hunger and a strange royalty. Its eyes were ruby, velvet dark, and watched me the way a king might watch a trespasser. I didn't run. Couldn't. My knees buckled. I just stared as it bared its teeth, jaws lined with something silver, almost ceremonial. Then it turned and vanished into the dark, a rumor in the water and dust. I quit engineering the next week. Now I make records, not roads. The Red Ledger was lost to a sudden flood. I have no wish to ever see another stepwell again. Manuscript 7. The Devouring Folio, Galicia, 1911. My name is ISF, 41, a land surveyor once, before old papers ruined my sleep. My work took me to forgotten estates, and at one, I found a handwritten folio, pages torn, some chewed, the ink faded to reddish brown. It claimed, "When the moon eats itself, the king shall rise to devour what remains, be it hope, be it flesh." The sky had been clouded that whole week, but on the night I finished reading, the clouds parted, bleeding a red glare over the hills. That night the cattle wouldn't settle. There was a scream, bestial and human all at once, from the lower pasture, then silence sharp enough to slice the air. I went out with the herder's lantern. I found the fences splintered, deep gouges torn through wood and earth. A beast, man-sized but wrong in every joint and line, crouched in the shadows, head cocked like it heard music in my terror. I couldn't see all of it, just two long limbs, matted fur clumping at the joints, eyes flicking with synchronized intelligence back and forth from me to the herd. It watched me. Then, without a sound, it retreated, moving backwards, still facing me, into the fog. I sold the land and moved across the continent. The folio, last I saw, was eaten at the corners. Sometimes, I hear that scream in my dreams, and sometimes I wake up to find mud on my sheets. Nothing I tell myself can explain that away. Manuscript 8. The Ravenwood Testament, Yukon Territory, 1956. Name Sylvia, 64, retired forestry worker. I was the last to see the Ravenwood Testament before it crumbled to ash. I never believed in the supernatural, not till that night. We found the testament in a hollowed birch, the paper still slick with sap despite being decades old. Most of it was cryptic, but the line that stuck with me was, "When winter is broken by a red moon, the kings will roam the white silence, hunting the last of the loners." It was colder than usual for March. The dogs refused to leave the cabin. When the clouds cleared, letting the blood moon spill across the drifts, everything fell silent. Around 2 a.m., something scuffed at the door, slow, heavy, like boots but not. I peered out, shotgun at my side. A figure, huge, its fur glowing rust red in the moonlight. Its face was neither wolf nor man, the jaw just slightly too wide, with tufts like antler velvet, eyes dark as river stone. It stood on two legs, sniffing the air, its breath steaming like an engine. I tried shouting, even fired a warning shot. Didn't flinch. It pressed a clawed hand, long, gnarled, almost human, against the frosted window, leaving claw marks in the ice. In the morning, the testament was gone, and so were the claw marks. Left behind, tracks, barefoot, impossibly large, leading away through the new snow, vanishing at the edge of the pines. Ever since, I lock my doors twice when the moon runs red. I never walk in the woods alone. You've heard their words, seen through their eyes. In each hidden corner of the world, from parchment to paw print, the line between legend and waking life grows thinner, especially when the blood moon rises. Perhaps it's stories like these that remind us, no matter how advanced our age or rational our science, the wild places keep secrets, and some bloodlines never die. Maybe the manuscripts aren't just warnings or myths, but living history repeating itself, just waiting for the right night and the right moon to awaken once more. If you have a story, something you've seen, heard, or felt on a night when the moon glowed a little too red, share it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. This has been Nightbound Bloodline. Thank you for listening. Until next time, sleep with one eye open.